How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Nordforge. Today we'll be doing a diorama based off of Warcraft Rumble, a Dwarf Mountaineer. Now, after playing this game for quite some time, I've become quite accustomed to the Dwarf Mountaineer. Blizzard kindly gives out these free 3D prints right on their website, which I can leave a link to. They have all assortments of different little army guys, whatever you want to call them. Moving on, this is my Saker. Typically you would see this for automobiles, but it works just as good painting anything else. And the good thing is you can have 2, 3, 4 bottles of different colors ready to go. We're going to give the bear, in fact the entire model that's already been primed gray, a nice sienna brown. And the reason why we're doing the whole thing is because the dwarf's beard is going to be a combination of brown and some red tint. I admit, when doing this model, I wanted to return to the game, and by game I mean World of Warcraft. But that'll be at a later date. As you can see, I'm making crates using this reference photo like you would see in Dun Moreau. And I decided to stain this crate that I cut from a 2x4 instead of painting it, just to see if I can get a different look out of it. Something a little more authentic. Now, Dun Mora is actually my favorite place to be in the entire game. It was the first place she made my first character. It was a gnome warlock. Sad but true. Okay, now we're scoring these wood panels around the box with a plastic wire brush, and that's some acrylic brown. That hole in the middle you see there is actually supposed to be for wiring for a lantern that I'll be using later, but decided against it. As you can see, like I said, I'm gonna give some red tint to his beard. My main is actually a dwarf hunter, which I'm sure if any of you have played World of Warcraft, you're probably rolling your eyes at a hunter. That's alright. I don't blame you. Some gunmetal for his blunderbuss. Give that a nice thick coat. Make it look like real steel, nothing like army paints. I apologize for not recording the heavy dry brush I did for the bear. I thought I was recording and I was not. And some rough iron for his shoulder pads. This came out a little darker than I expected, but it worked in the end. Next is the green for the cape. I decided against the blue, which they use in Warcraft Rumble, I'm not sure why. And the green is more of a look you would see in Dun Mora or Loch Moran in World of Warcraft, the typical Mountaineer look, which is what I was going for. And this green skin green, it's kind of the perfect color because it's not too bright, so it's not too flashy. The holes in the bottom you see there is because the model is actually hollow. Any of you that has not 3D printed with resin before, it saves a lot of money. Moving on to his gloves and boots, we're using Army Paints Leather Brown, which ironically enough really does look like leather when it dries. And the bear's eyes, I decided to use that reference photo in the beginning of the video, reddish orange. And for the teeth, I used a cream white. Didn't want the teeth to be too perfectly white, it would look a little weird. And for the eyes, since I cannot paint eyes, what I do is I dip this needle, which is used for cleaning out an airbrush, and I dip it in some black paint. And I kind of just push it right up against where the pupils would be. And it does work to some extent. And a really strong wash for the gun stock. And for his hood, just give him a real weathered look. Kind of like that first cinematic shot World of Warcraft ever released. Still gives me chills. I love it. These barrels, as you can see, they were the closest thing I could find on Thingiverse that resembled it. I'm giving them a heavy dry brushing of sienna brown. I'll leave a link in the description below for these things. And this is called True Copper by Army Paints. And moving on to the base, I am taping some painter's tape to protect the sides from some of the texturing I'll be doing. I apologize in advance for not capturing the entire thing of me painting this tinted Mod Podge. Once again, made the rookie mistake of not recording. It's apparently how I roll lately. And now some woodland scenics, snow terrain, which I've used plenty of times before. It's great. But this time we're going to put on a heavy coat. Time for some cleanup. This is watered down PVA. I'm just gonna spray some of that down, give it a quick mist to lock that terrain down. And this is a tea light. They flicker to simulate an actual flame. And this is some extra XPS foam from another project. And we're gonna carve out some rocks to hockle around it to simulate a campfire. And I didn't really use reference photos. These are just stones. I just kind of winged it. As you can see here, I'm just moving the rod along to give myself the best look. And a heavy dose of hot glue. But if I could have used some of the music from Diorama, I sure would have. It's, once again, my favorite zone in the entire game. Even after all these years and all the expansion packs, which I've lost count, it's still my favorite zone. And now we're going to give these stones a coat to give them some strength and help them bond together. I'm not really caring too much about the tea light because it's not really, you're not going to see it. And now we're giving a heavy dry brushing of the stones with a regular gray. Along with some dark black stain to simulate some aging here. I mean, they are rocks. This is stain that I mix my own. I actually learned that from Black Magic Crafts. If you haven't heard of them, I encourage you to go check them out. In fact, I'll leave a link in the description below. And I'm just carving out some logs and trying to simulate, as you see here in the reference photo, what they would look like. That's a scalpel, obviously, so be very careful when using one. And we're gonna kind of swipe these real heavy with the wire brush to give them a textured look. Now we're dry brushing of sienna brown. Once again, heavy dry brushing to light brushing is the method I used for the logs. That's a reddish orange to this cotton ball that I kind of just stretched out. This will be the flame for the campfire. And I went a little too overboard with the paint, but in the end it came out just fine. And some hot glue, and we're just gonna kind of pinch that on there. And some heavy hot glue on the logs. That's gonna help keep the flame in the place that I want it, in the shape that I want it. I'm moving on. I did not record this since it was a couple weeks beforehand. It's just a lantern that I also found on Thingiverse. The node goes in from the bottom, and then you use UV activated resin to put the top on. A little tricky, but you get that glass look once you're done. The next time I make one, I will for sure record it. And now some diorama snow for the bottom of these barrels and some hot glue to hold it down. This snow texture is actually from Vallejo. This is actually the first time I've used it. I usually stick with AK, but a friend of mine bought it for me, so I figured I'd try it out. Second barrel here, I tipped over, covered up the holes, and just kind of adding periodically some stones. And some Army Painter Highland Tufts, just to get that look of kind of dead grass poking through the snow a little bit here. And this is some watered down PVA, because we're going to put some stones down. And instead of painting it, I decided to stain it with a regular black stain, and it came out actually better than paint, in my opinion. Now we're soldering these wires together to a battery pack, which will power the lantern. And to cover up my bad job of soldering, I used some heat shrink wrap. Now moving on, we're stuffing some textured snow into the crevices of the campfire, which I did not realize would look a little weird because it's a campfire, therefore it would probably melt the snow, but who cares? This is my diorama. And that's it, folks. Enjoy the final shots here, and I will see you next week, and thank you for watching.